In God of War 2018, we could come across multiple female winged warriors while exploring Midgard and other realms. These warriors seem to have been locked away and when engaged in combat to be met with rage. These are the Valkyries. If you're watching this video, I'm sure you're already familiar with them, whether that be from fighting them yourself in the game or from their recent appearance in the latest God of War Ragnarök story trailer. This video will cover the Valkyries in their entirety in the God of War lore. We'll also look at each Valkyrie individually and what their potential role could be during Ragnarök. It goes without saying, but there will be spoilers for God of War 2018 in this video. With that out of the way, let's take a look at the history of the Valkyries in God of War. In Old Norse, Valkyrie is pronounced as Valkyria, meaning dead body on a battlefield chooser, while most people go with the more poetic phrasing, chooser of the slain. In God of War lore, the Valkyries were female warrior spirits chosen by the Allfather Odin himself, with their main responsibility being to escort fallen mortal warriors without an honorable death to Valhalla or Folkvanger. In Valhalla, the warrior spirits would become Einherjar, Odin's army come Ragnarök. Now Folkvanger, in Norse mythology, is an afterlife field, similar to that of Elysium in Greece, ruled over by the goddess Freya. There is no further description given in lore and legends as to what Folkvanger is in the God of War lore, but at least we have an idea of what it could be. Although only the worthy fallen go to either Valhalla or Folkvanger, the definition for an honorable death might be a bit more straightforward to the Aesir gods.
This Valhalla, is it within hell?
Oh no. Valhalla is part of Asgard. Only the worthy dead go there, the warriors who die in glorious combat. Hell is for those who die in dishonor.
Criminals.
Aye, and those dead of disease, mishap, age.
It is dishonorable to grow old.
Well, never too late to go out fighting, I suppose.
However, if a slain warrior were to refuse the call of a Valkyrie, in case they had unfinished business, were blinded by anger, or wanted revenge on those who brought their demise, they would engage the Valkyrie in combat. With the power of a Valkyrie and the burning rage of a slain warrior, the conflict would become so heated that a ball of pure white flame would form around them. Although the Valkyrie would remain unaffected, the warrior is just immortal, and so the flames would strip away their skin and fuse their armor to flesh and bone. The fire burns away the person they once were, turning them into a Draugr, doomed to forever roam as a husk of their former selves, fueled with rage. The Valkyries have mastered the use of the Bifrost, which allows them to materialize or pull multiple weapons from different realms to them whenever they need it. The weapons they can summon include a scythe, a mace, a chakram, and although we don't see it in the game, a sword and ornate shield as well. It's important to mention that the Valkyries weren't on the best of terms with the Allfather. While Asgard was their home, they still fell subject to the curiosity of Odin. When they needed to discuss matters not meant for the Allfather's ears, they would go to the Rockstoel of Valkyria, the Council of Valkyries. It's a council chamber of sorts, featuring 8 thrones hidden away in Midgard, but not hidden quite well enough, it seems.
The Valkyries would often need a place to confer outside of Odin's prying eyes. They thought themselves properly concealed, but the All-Father sees all, so the saying goes.
Each Valkyrie is unique and has their own story, so let's talk about them. But before we do, it's important to know that in the game you can face the first 8 Valkyries in any order. It doesn't necessarily matter what order you fight them in, as the exchange you get after killing the Valkyrie plays out chronologically. To avoid confusion, I'm going to cover these Valkyries in the same order that I faced them in. With that out of the way, let's talk about the first Valkyrie on our list, Gunnr. Gunnr is the first Valkyrie the game lets you face. She is located near Thamur's corpse and is directly unlockable after you gain the chisel from the giant's head. She is locked away in one of the many hidden chambers of Odin.
This place, it feels like a prison.
That would explain the hefty magical lock on the outside.
But it's more than that. I have this feeling like something is waiting for us down here.
Upon entering the chamber and seeing a Valkyrie, Mimir is shocked.
A Valkyrie? Imprisoned? She actually did it.
A Valkyrie? But I thought they were just spirits.
Take caution, lads. A Valkyrie in the flesh. I can't think of a more formidable opponent.
She does not attack.
Does she even know we're here?
As mentioned earlier, the Valkyries in God of War are spirits, but here we come across one imprisoned and in a physical form. This explains the confusion from both Atreus and Mimir. Gunnr herself was known as the Mistress of War, which is quite funny as her name in Old Norse can be read as either war or battle. No matter how big or small a conflict was, she would always be the first Valkyrie to arrive after a battle to find the spirits who were worthy enough to be guided to Valhalla. Compared to the other Valkyries, Gunnr's judgment of the spirits who died in battle was unparalleled, which was an extremely useful resource to the Allfather, hence why she was one of Odin's favorite Valkyries. Although her task was quite horrifying, she took a lot of pride in what she did. Her main weapon of choice was the scythe, which she used effectively in combat. The theme of her armor design is that of a raven. Ravens in Norse mythology were considered wise and all-knowing, so it makes sense that Santa Monica decided to design Gunnr this way, given that her judgment of the fallen was unparalleled. Upon defeating her physical form, we can actually speak to Gunnr.
You have freed me from my corrupted form. You have my eternal gratitude. But my sisters remain trapped as I was. Take my helm. Find them. Free them. The fate of the Valkyries rests on your shoulders.
The fate of the Valkyries.
Sounds pretty important.
That's putting it mildly, lad.
What do you know of them?
A fair question, and yet not one easily answered. I know more than most, but much of their history is veiled in secrecy. My own experience with the Valkyries ends with my imprisonment.
You are avoiding the question, Head.
As I said, brother, it's complicated. I don't know why or how they become such wretched creatures, but perhaps if we can free more of them.
You want us to fight more of those things?
The fate of the Valkyries, lad. A more worthy endeavor there is not.
It will be dangerous.
Well, that hasn't stopped you before, eh? That's the spirit.
From Gunnr we learn that she isn't the only Valkyrie who was imprisoned and urges us to find the rest and free them. Mimir strongly encourages us to do this as well. Which brings us to the next Valkyrie we face, Kara. Kara can be found in a hidden chamber in the river pass within Freya's cave, which might hold some significance, but that might be a video on its own. Now Kara is very different. You might even say she's the most unique among all the Valkyries. Her name in Old Norse means the wild stormy one, which fits her quite well. While the Valkyries were volatile by nature, Kara was on another level, as she was described as a wild storm personified. She was calm and collected at first, but then the air would shift and the fury of her storm would unleash. In a way it was a beautiful sight to behold, assuming you could find proper shelter. It is said that her tears would cleanse the blood-soaked battlefields. While her armor is themed around a ram, it's a bit difficult to say as to why that is, as I couldn't really find anything in Norse mythology that mentions the significance of a ram or what it stands for. What I did come across is that a ram's fleece stands for innocence, while its horns are weapons, a form of defense, and a status symbol. This could make sense with Kara, as she would appear innocent at first by being calm and collected, and then suddenly unleashing her fury. But that's all speculation of course, and I could be completely wrong. While Kara might not be as strong as her sisters, she has the unique ability to summon Draugr to fight for her. While the other Valkyries put Kratos and Atreus up to the test in a one-on-one duel, Kara challenges their ability to fight in crowds. Upon releasing Kara from her physical form, she mentions that she can't remember much, but she does give us a clue.
The Rokstol of Valkyr. It is the last thing I remember.
The what?
Valhalla awaits. I must return.
The Rokstol of Valkyr is the Council of Valkyries. It is located to the left of the two oarsmen statues. You can actually visit this place before doing any of the Valkyries, which is what I did in this playthrough, where you get a vague observation from Mimir.
What is this place?
Could it be? The Eight Thrones.
Stop being coy, Head. Do you know this place or not?
I'm Mimir, the smartest man alive. I know many things.
Well, whatever this place is, it looks important.
To who? There is little of value here.
After hearing Kara bring up the council, Mimir actually recalls this visit.
I didn't call it out for what it was at the time. I didn't know for sure.
Think we'll find out why the Valkyries are like this?
That chamber held a special significance for them. We'll find something there, I'm certain of it.
But before we visit the Council of Valkyries again, let's take a look at the next Valkyrie on our list, Gondul. Gondul can be found in Midgard. but in a whole other realm. Muspelheim, at the top of a mountain. In order to get there you need to complete a total of 5 challenges. These are the challenges of Surtur. Surtur uses these to train himself for when Ragnarök comes. But Gondul herself was apparently one of the most attractive Valkyries. Just the sight of her alone always managed to take Mimir's breath away. Gondul had the tendency to be eloquent and persuasive when speaking, was quick to notice and understand matters, and also
Struck a figure so stunning it literally drove men insane.
Now Mimir's claim doesn't seem too absurd, as Odin actually forbade Gondul from stepping foot in Midgard after a time. The reason being that she genuinely made these men insane when they simply looked at her, and insanity is not a welcome trait in Valhalla. Unlike her sisters, Gondul seems to have an element affinity to fire. This is noticeable both in her attacks as in her design. Speaking of which, she's designed after a vulture, which symbolism can be linked to perception, seriousness, resourcefulness and intelligence. Gondul can summon fire meteors by leaping into the air or dashing back and casting a spell. The meteors fly in from the sky and leave behind dangerous hazards on the ground where they land. Upon peacefully releasing her from her physical form, she expresses her gratitude and Atreus makes an observation.
Another Valkyrie rescued. Although, you'd think if they wanted to be killed, they'd make it a little easier for us.
Not sure they even have a choice in the matter, lad.
What do you mean?
Whatever made them this way, they are mad with rage.
How do you know?
I know.
With another Valkyrie spirit freed from her physical form, we move on to the next. Air. Air can be found in the mountain of Midgard, near the corner elevator on the floor level. Air was quite a strange Valkyrie. She was a healer, which isn't quite common in her line of work. In Old Norse, her name means protection, help and mercy. Air was very quiet, very calm. Where her sisters were violent rapids, Air was like a gentle stream. She healed the wounds of both mortals and gods.
And even a certain all-knowing sage who once drank too much and fell off a mountain. Not my proudest moment.
Air made use of her wings for defense, forming a sort of cocoon. Her weapon of choice was the mace, which can be extremely annoying at times. And with her high amount of health, Air was like a heavy tank, which would explain why her armor design is based on a bear. In Norse mythology, the bear stands for strength, healing, inner wisdom and balance between the seen and unseen world. What's quite interesting is that in Norse mythology, Air could have been either a Valkyrie or a goddess. What we do know for certain is that Air had an association with healing. But back to her in God of War. After she's freed, both her and Mimir give us some interesting information.
Lady, please tell us. Why were you in this physical form? Why fight us?
I do not know! The soul of a Valkyrie cannot remain pure in a physical body. We belong in the spirit world, which is where I now go. Goodbye!
Somebody made them this way. Who? And why?
I wouldn't want to speculate.
You know something.
I'm Mimir, the smartest man alive. I know many things.
Ed?
Sigrun, the queen of the Valkyries. She would have that power. The last time I saw her, she was corporeal herself. She came to visit me long after I'd been imprisoned by Odin.
Why?
Well, we had history, I guess you could say.
Like, romantic history?
Ah, lad, you're making me blush, I think. Can I still blush?
First we hunt these creatures, and now we chase your former lover. We do not need this distraction.
It's more than a distraction. Father, these are Valkyries. They're the ones who keep the dead from overrunning Midgard.
Then they are terrible at their job.
It's not their fault, brother. Someone changed them. Kept them from their duty.
The Queen?
I can't say for sure, lad. We should ask more of them. If, of course, you don't mind the distraction.
And that leaves us with our next Valkyrie, Hildr. Hildr can be found in Niflheim, somewhere within Ivaldi's workshop in an open area.
Another Valkyrie.
You're in Niflheim? Of all the places?
Hildr was known as the Mistress of Battle, not to be confused with Gunnr, the Mistress of War. However, just like Gunnr, Hildr's name can actually be translated to battle. Unlike the other Valkyries, Hildr actually had a good relationship with Odin. However, she did not have the same with her sisters. She would spend most of her time in Midgard observing discord between the living, and from time to time actually cause some discord herself. She lived for conflict, and some say she was a personification of conflict. This and her relationship to Odin makes it a bit more clear as to why she didn't get on well with her fellow Valkyries. Just like Gondul had an affinity to fire, Hildr seems to have an affinity to ice. This being present in both the color scheme of her armor and the fact that she has the ability to conjure up an ice barrage attack. Speaking of her armor, it is designed after a boar, which represents bravery, command, control and fighting spirit. When defeating her, she says that both Atreus and Kratos are very brave, to the displeasure of Mimir.
Both? She didn't even notice me.
Now what's quite interesting is that both Hildr and Gondul are the only Valkyries not located in a hidden chamber of Odin. There is an explanation for this. A hidden chamber can be found in the wildwoods near Kratos and Atreus' home. There is no Valkyrie to be found within, but there is a corpse with a note. The note reads, "To the next poor fool to find this place, you'd be wiser to flee than to brave the dangers within. But count yourself lucky, I came before you to unwittingly free the prior occupant and die a fool in the process. I came for treasure and found only death on wings. I tried to step out of the realm, but you wouldn't let go. It tore most terribly. The tree bleeds for my foolishness. Her magic will surely ripple through this realm for ages, tearing at its fabric. And for what? I'm dead, and she's escaped just the same. Why did I fight it? Fool, fool, fool. My only solace is her jailer followed close behind. To Muspel it might have been, or Niflheim. Either way, she'll be caught. Though, they'll need a new prison. I've ruined this one. The lindworm comes for me." So either Hildr or Gondul was actually within this chamber, before a dwarf came in looking for treasure. When the Valkyrie attacked, the dwarf seemed to have attempted to step out of the realm, like dwarves have the ability to do, but the Valkyrie wouldn't let him go. This caused a realm tear to open, which allowed the Valkyrie to escape to either Niflheim or Muspelheim. The jailer who locked this Valkyrie up in here pursued her, and presumably trapped her within either Ivaldi's workshop, or the Challenges of Surtur, as the previous prison now had a realm tear in it, which can then be closed by Kratos and Atreus by facing Draugr, a Revenant and Nightmares. What's also curious is that on every brazier in the Realm Towers in the Lake of Nine, the names of all the Valkyries have been inscribed, but in Niflheim and Muspelheim runes.
Tyr's braziers, a symbol of the light that binds all realms together.
Why would he use those strange runes, though?
Now you mention it, he wouldn't.
After lighting all the braziers, we received an enchantment that could help with defeating these Valkyries.
Look! That should really help us fight the rest of the corrupted Valkyries.
It seems like someone might want them to be freed. But for now, let's continue with the rest of the Valkyries, which brings us to Geirdriful. Geirdriful can be found in Midgard in a chamber within the foothills. She was the master of arms in Valhalla, which means she was responsible for training and arming Odin's army come Ragnarök, the Einherjar. They wait in the Great Hall endlessly feasting, drinking, fighting
And fornicating themselves silly.
and once Ragnarök begins, Odin calls them into service to fight on his behalf. According to Mimir, Geirdriful had her hands full training them. Her weapons of choice were the chakram, which she used to shoot signature projectiles. And her armor is based on an owl, which was likely to be inspired by her Norse mythology counterpart, as she was referred to as the Owl Stalin. Upon freeing Geirdriful from her physical form, she fills us in as to who's responsible for locking her and her sisters up.
You have freed me.
Who did this to you?
I remember only pain. And my queen, she locked me down here? But why?
Ah, Sigrun.
I must leave you now. I must find her. I must remember.
Sounds like your queen is responsible, Head.
Aye. When I saw her last, she was different. Changed. And not just that she was in physical form. She was more volatile. I tried to talk to her about it, but she had just come to say goodbye. I didn't think.
I'm sorry, Mimir. We'll find her.
Not sure she wants to be found. I just don't understand why she would do this. It doesn't make a lick of sense.
And if she is responsible,
Then we'll have to stop her. The Valkyries must be freed, and we are the only ones capable.
we...
Well, who do you think's gonna watch your back?
With Mimir boosting the morale, we get to our next Valkyrie, Olrun. Olrun is locked away in a hidden chamber in Alfheim at the Light Elf shore. In her youth, she collected stories of her people and retold them with enthusiasm. She was the daughter of a powerful chieftain and fell defending him during a reaver attack. Olrun was escorted to Valhalla, where she chose to devote her afterlife to the pursuit of knowledge above all else, which is quite unusual behavior amongst Valhalla's other residents. Odin saw a bit of himself in Olrun's single-minded spirit, therefore he appointed her as the Valkyries' resident historian. In Norse mythology, she is said to record the life and death of all who died an honorable death. Olrun is the fastest among the Valkyries. Her Her attack behaviors make her feel like a trickster. She uses no weapons, solely relying on her tricky moveset and her razor-sharp wings. Her armor is based on an eagle, which might be a reference to a tale in Norse mythology where a Jotun tricks Loki, the god of mischief, while in the shape of an eagle, tricking the trickster god, so to say. Upon releasing her, Olrun is just as confused as Mimir and Atreus were when we first started.
Thank you. I am free. But why was I imprisoned?
We think your queen did this to you.
But why would Sigrun hinder our duty?
That's the mystery we're trying to solve, milady. Can you think of any reason she would have to do this?
No. Without the Valkyries, those who died in battle will not see Valhalla. Helheim will overflow with the souls of the departed, and drown Midgard in a sea of vengeful corpses. No greater shame exists for a Valkyrie. I must go. Attempt to staunch the bleeding. Farewell.
I believe you have your answer, Head. The Queen opposes Odin. She imprisoned the Valkyries to defy him.
Sigrun hated Odin, no doubt about that. But her duty, her responsibility. Would she really forsake these things to get back at Odin? I don't believe it.
I do. Hate is stronger than duty.
We have to find the queen. We have to stop her. I'm sorry, Mimir.
Aye. Don't be sorry, lad. Sigrun brought this on herself. Only wish... Well, wishing only gets you so far.
How will we find her?
I'm afraid I don't know. She could be anywhere, any realm.
We'll find her. We have to. All of Midgard is counting on us.
Before we get to the queen, let's cover the final Valkyrie of the 8 we faced before her, Rota. Rota was one of the choosers of the slain. Although the Valkyries themselves were mostly known for this task, and it was by far their greatest responsibility, it seems that Rota, alongside Gunnr and a Valkyrie named Skuld, oversee the judgment of the fallen, making sure that the worthy enter Valhalla and hell doesn't overflow with souls. So it's safe to say that Rota was probably a bit distraught after seeing what happened. She was actually the first Valkyrie to go mad after being imprisoned in a physical form. She was locked away in Helheim to keep her away from harming herself or others, but mostly others. Rota's armor design is based on a deer, which represents supremacy, which fits quite well with Rota because in Norse mythology, she wanted to prove herself as being the mightiest. She would do this by brutally slaughtering warriors on the battlefield, so it's safe to say, she was a bit crazy. As we finally give her a bit of her own medicine, she gives us some insight on how to find Sigrun, the Valkyrie queen, so Kratos and Atreus can bring an end to this.
Where is your queen?
My queen?
She did this to you. She's letting the dead take over Midgard.
This cannot be.
I didn't want to believe it either, milady, but we have to find her.
Where is she?
I can't say for sure, but the Rokstol Valkyries. If the Council of Eight are reunited, perhaps she will answer our call.
This queen of yours, she is strong, yes? Stronger than these other Valkyries we have faced.
That's putting it mildly, brother.
Then we must prepare ourselves.
Now knowing what to do, Kratos, Atreus and Mimir head to the Council of Valkyries. It appears that a remnant of the Valkyries' spirit remains in their helms, as they appear before our very eyes after placing them on the thrones. When all 8 helmets are placed, a realm tear appears. Kratos and Atreus then face Sigrun, the queen of the Valkyries. When fighting Sigrun, it's very clear that she's a lot more powerful than her fellow Valkyries. Sigrun is the combination of everything Kratos and Atreus learned while facing her sisters, as she almost has all of their attacks. After a tough fight, which might take some players multiple hours, Sigrun is set free and explains everything to us.
Thank you, friends. You have saved the Valkyries.
Sigrun, how did this happen?
Mimir, is that you? You have been freed, but...
Freedom comes at a price, milady.
You speak truly. Countless winters we served the All-Father. But only through his union to the Queen did we ever taste some measure of freedom.
But aren't you the queen?
There has only been one Queen of the Valkyries, the goddess Freya. When Odin severed her wings, I served in her absence, but it wasn't enough for the All-Father. He used an archaic piece of magic, corrupting my sisters.
I tried to contain the damage by imprisoning them in places where they could cause no harm, but soon I lost myself as well.
Sigrun, I'm sorry for being so worthless. I could have done something, or tried at the very least. What will you do now?
I must reunite with my sisters. Together we can restore balance to the realms. You have the eternal blessings of the Valkyries.
Overall, we've heard and experienced a lot. So let's recap everything that has transpired. 119 years before the events of the game, Odin sends Thor to interrogate and kill any giants who remain in Midgard in order to find Jotunheim and to learn the giants' Ragnarok prophecies. Freya was granted command of the Valkyries as part of her marriage compact with Odin, adding Valkyrie wings to her warrior spirit. But when she learned of what Odin was doing, she couldn't take it anymore. She tries to return to Vanaheim, but Odin casts a spell so powerful that it traps her in Midgard. What's even worse, the spell also steals her warrior spirit alongside her Valkyrie wings. Out of spite, Odin tries to control Freya's Valkyries with a spell that transforms them from spirits into physical creatures. Valkyries belong in the spirit world, so when they were trapped in a physical body, it corrupted them, making them super powerful monsters with an overwhelming lust to kill everyone they meet. 2 years pass and the corrupted Valkyries kill wildly across the 9 realms. Sigrun, who grudgingly took the position of queen after Freya's exile, feels herself slipping into their madness as well. But before she does, Sigrun manages to lock the monstrous husks of her Valkyrie sisters into dungeons scattered across the realms. It's a possibility that after this she carves their names on Tyr's braziers in the Lake of Nine.
Someone who loved the Valkyries enough to do this? I wonder, perhaps the Queen?
Then, after almost a century, Helheim is full. For 1,000 years, every soul who didn't die a glorious warrior's death in battle has been conscripted into Hel's army. Those unwilling soldiers are fated to march out and cleanse the other realms by killing everyone before Ragnarok. Now Hel's army is complete, so all the new dead souls are getting tossed back into their rotting bodies. They are crawling out of the ground in Midgard as Hellwalkers. After Kratos and Atreus release all the Valkyries from their physical form, Sigrun is free to reunite the Valkyries and attempt to stem the tide of the dead flowing into Midgard. And that, my friends, is the full complete history of the Valkyries in God of War. But it seems like in Ragnarok we'll be facing a few more. In the God of War Ragnarok story trailer, we can see Kratos and Atreus facing 2 new Valkyries, who are known as Hrist and Myst. It seems like they too are trapped in the physical form, but are actually under Odin's control. Obviously, we don't know a lot about these two in the God of War lore, and we can only speculate. But in Norse mythology, there could have been a total of 9, 12, 13, up to 300 Valkyries. It could very well be that Hrist and Myst won't be the only Valkyries we encounter. Besides them, we might also see Freya wield her Valkyrie wings again.
Brothers, there's another thing I must let you know. From the time you were away in Jotunheim.
Well, tell us then.
It concerns Freya. She paid me a visit.
What did you tell her?
What little I know about where Odin may have kept her Valkyrie wings. Seems she's rather bent on reclaiming her warrior spirit. I'm afraid the cycle of vengeance may not be so easily broken.
We can see in the trailer that she has managed to reclaim her warrior spirit, which could mean that she also has her wings back. Very curious to see how that will play out in the game. Now I could go deeper into Freya, after all, she was the Valkyrie Queen. But I plan on maybe making a future video on her. But if you can't wait for that, my buddy Eddie recently uploaded a full story recap of her, so make sure to check that out. Also, I did a lot of research for this video. So much so that I collected all the info I could about these specific Valkyries and even their Norse mythology counterparts. If you'd like a video where I go over them in Norse mythology, let me know by leaving a comment down below. And while you're there, make sure to drop a like and subscribe for more God of War content. I thank you all for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. And don't forget, Ragnarok is coming.
Well, we did it, I suppose.
You don't sound very happy about it.
It's difficult to be happy about anything when you're a reanimated head. I'm grateful we were able to set the Valkyries free. But so much of this could have been avoided, if only...
You said it yourself, Head. It does not matter anymore. The past is the past.
Well, that's awfully cheerful coming from you.
I am in a good mood. The dwarves will make use of this helm.
Your dad's a wee bit single-minded, isn't he, lad?
Definitely.